Beyond the Gates, weekly spoilers, March 2 to 6. Ted faces intense interrogation and Hayley trapped in crisis. Beyond the Gates spoilers for March 2nd, 6, 2026. See Ted Richardson, Keith D. Robinson, getting grilled, and Hayley Lawson, Marquita Goings, cornered. On Monday, March 2nd, Ashley Morgan, Jen Jacob, helps Anita Dupree, Tamara Tooney, through a tough time. She's getting another chemo session and looks really annoyed, but Ashley's there for her. Anita is in chemo, and then she tells Vernon Dupree, Clifton Davis, she doesn't know if she'll win her battle or if she can handle this. By the way, Anita's in a blue cap thing during chemo, and those are cooling caps that are attached to a little AC system and cools down the head, which can help slow hair loss from chemo. So Ashley might have suggested it. We'll see. Naomi Hamilton Hawthorne, Ariel Prepetit, gets a proposition from Catherine Cat Richardson, Colby Muhammad. Is it about moving in with her while Jacob Hawthorne, Jibree Horges, is undercover? Hayley and Bill Hamilton, Timon Kyle Durrett, celebrate their anniversary, but they have several crashers that interrupt. Hayley and Bill are at Fairmont Cross Country Club for dinner and looking awfully annoyed when they get unwanted company. Danny Dupree, Carla Mosley, wishes Bill and Hayley a happy anniversary, but sarcastically. Andre Richardson, Sean Freeman, is there with her. Danny reaches in her purse and says she had to commemorate this occasion, and Bill looks worried when Danny digs in her purse. Is he expecting a gun? On Tuesday, March 3rd, someone puts Isaiah Hawthorne, David Lamey Freeb, on the spot. Is Ted grilling him about him and Eva Thomas, Amber Michelle, and intentions as Dana Leslie Thomas, Trisha Mann Grant asked him to do? Hayley's stunned when Bill presses her about expanding the family. Bill asks Hayley if she's ready to try again for a baby. Tom Navarro, Alex Alegria, gives Eva advice. Is it about dealing with Kat? Leslie says she doesn't know what Eva's talking about, but she reminds Leslie that she taught her everything she knows about revenge. Leslie runs into Nicole Dupree Richardson, Daphne Duplay. Next week, Vanessa McBride, Lauren Buglioli, tries to keep the peace when things get heated between Leslie and Nicole. Vanessa and Nicole are at Uptown, and Leslie plops down being catty, and Nicole reminds Leslie that the last time she goaded her, naughty Nikki came out and put her hands on her. She asks, does Leslie remember how that turned out? Vanessa reaches for Nicole's hand before she does anything impulsive. On Wednesday, March 4th, Vernon supports Chelsea Hamilton, Ronnie Rose Mantilla. Is this about her wedding plans or something else? Bill calls in a favor. Is it from the Duprees? Is this about what he wants from Hayley? The Dupree family receives a surprising visitor. Kyle gives Vanessa an update that will affect Nicole. Is Kyle house hunting to stick around the DMV because he's really into Nicole and wants to be around to pursue her? On Thursday, March 5th, Derek Baldwin, Ben Gavin, is stuck in the middle when Leslie and Vanessa are bickering. Madison and Chelsea notice an unusual couple. Who's together that stuns them? Joey Armstrong, John Lindstrom, doesn't want to do something but agrees anyway. Does Bill ask him or Vanessa? On Friday, March 6th, Jacob gets a new assignment, but it may wreck the undercover op into the plasma ring. Martin tries to connect with Bradley Smitty Smith, Mike Manning, and Samantha Richardson, Naja Jackson. Why is he feeling disconnected? The week of March 2 to 6 on Beyond the Gates delivers one of the most intense stretches of drama the series has seen yet. Secrets that have been simmering beneath the surface begin boiling over, alliances are pushed to the breaking point, and two characters find themselves at the center of life-changing storms. For Ted Richardson, the pressure reaches a terrifying level as he becomes the focus of a relentless interrogation. The questions being thrown his way aren't just uncomfortable. They threaten to expose truths that could destroy his reputation, his family, and possibly even his future. Meanwhile, Hayley Lawson suddenly finds herself trapped in a crisis she never anticipated. What begins as a seemingly manageable problem quickly spirals into something far more dangerous, leaving Hayley scrambling for a way out before the situation consumes her entirely. Across Fairmont Crest, tensions mount as characters begin realizing that the events unfolding this week could permanently change the delicate balance of power that has held their community together. Here's a full breakdown of the drama ahead. The week opens with a tense atmosphere spreading through the halls of Fairmont Crest. Rumors have been circulating for days, and whispers about hidden secrets and questionable decisions have reached nearly every corner of the community. At the center of it all stands Ted Richardson. Ted has always been known as someone who carries himself with confidence and authority. He's the kind of man who believes he can navigate any situation with calm logic and steady control. But on Monday, that confidence begins to crack. Ted is unexpectedly summoned to a meeting that quickly takes on a far more serious tone than he anticipated. Waiting for him are several individuals who clearly have questions, and they aren't interested in polite conversation. Instead, Ted finds himself facing the beginning of what feels like an interrogation. The questions start slowly at first. They ask about his recent decisions, his involvement in certain financial dealings, and his connections to people whose names have suddenly become controversial topics. Ted attempts to remain calm, offering measured responses that reveal little while attempting to maintain the appearance of transparency. But the people questioning him are not easily satisfied. Each answer only leads to another, more pointed question. And it becomes clear that whoever organized this meeting already suspects Ted is hiding something. Elsewhere, Hayley Lawson begins the week believing she has everything under control. Hayley has always prided herself on her ability to navigate complicated situations. She's clever, resourceful, and rarely caught off guard by unexpected developments. But on Monday, she receives news that completely disrupts her plans. A situation she believed was resolved suddenly resurfaces, and this time, the stakes are much higher. At first, Hayley tries to convince herself she can manage the problem quietly. But deep down, she knows the situation could easily spiral into a full-blown crisis. By Tuesday, the interrogation surrounding Ted intensifies dramatically. Word has begun spreading that powerful figures within Fairmont Crest are investigating questionable activities connected to him. Although no official accusations have been made yet, the mere suggestion that Ted might be involved in something suspicious is enough to ignite speculation. Ted is called in for another round of questioning. This time, the tone is far less polite. The investigators present documents that appear to contradict several of Ted's earlier explanations. They ask him to clarify certain financial transactions and explain why his name appears connected to a series of decisions that seem unusually secretive. Ted tries to maintain his composure, but the pressure is beginning to show. For the first time, he realizes that the situation might be slipping beyond his control. Meanwhile, Hayley's personal crisis continues growing more complicated. The issue she's facing is no longer something she can ignore or quietly manage behind closed doors. Someone else has become involved. Someone whose actions could make the entire situation explode into public view. Hayley attempts to negotiate, hoping she can persuade the other person to keep things quiet. But the conversation quickly turns tense. Instead of cooperation, Hayley is met with demands and veiled threats. Suddenly, she finds herself trapped in a situation where every possible decision carries serious consequences. Midweek brings a turning point that changes everything. Ted's interrogation reaches a critical moment when investigators present new information that shocks everyone involved. Evidence has surfaced suggesting that Ted may have been aware of certain questionable activities long before anyone realized. This revelation puts Ted in an incredibly difficult position. If he admits what he knew, he risks implicating himself in something potentially illegal. But if he denies it, the evidence may eventually prove otherwise. Ted tries to remain composed as he answers their questions, but internally, he's racing to figure out how to protect himself. At the same time, Hayley's crisis begins spiraling even further out of control. The person pressuring her now appears determined to push the situation to its limit. What began as a private dispute is threatening to become a public scandal. Hayley considers reaching out to someone she trusts for help. But doing so would require revealing the truth about what she's been hiding. and she isn't sure she's ready for that. Instead, she attempts one last desperate strategy to regain control. Unfortunately, the outcome is far from what she hoped. By Thursday, the tension surrounding Ted has spread throughout Fairmont Crest. People who once supported him now find themselves wondering whether the rumors might actually be true. Some characters defend Ted, insisting that he would never knowingly involve himself in anything unethical. Others are far less certain. Among those watching the situation closely are Nicole Dupree Richardson and Kat Richardson, both of whom realize that the investigation could have serious consequences for their family. Nicole struggles with the emotional weight of the situation. She wants to believe Ted is innocent, but the growing pile of unanswered questions makes that belief harder to maintain. Kat, meanwhile, begins analyzing the situation from a more strategic perspective. She understands that regardless of whether Ted is guilty, the investigation could permanently damage their family's reputation. That realization forces Kat to start considering how they might protect themselves if the situation continues escalating. Meanwhile, Hayley's crisis finally reaches a breaking point. The person who has been pressuring her makes it clear that time is running out. If Hayley doesn't comply with their demands, they're prepared to reveal information that could destroy her life. For the first time, Hayley realizes she may not be able to escape this situation on her own. By Friday, the tension that has been building all week finally erupts. Ted faces the most intense interrogation yet. Investigators confront him with a series of final questions designed to uncover the truth once and for all. Ted realizes that the answers he gives in this moment could determine his future. Carefully choosing his words, he attempts to explain his actions and distance himself from the accusations surrounding him. But whether the investigators believe him remains uncertain. Meanwhile, Hayley's crisis reaches a dramatic climax. Unable to satisfy the demands being placed on her, she finds herself forced into a confrontation she had hoped to avoid. The encounter becomes heated as long-buried emotions and hidden secrets finally explode into the open. By the time the confrontation ends, nothing in Hayley's life will be the same. One of the most compelling storylines this week revolves around Ted's struggle to defend himself against increasingly serious accusations. For someone accustomed to control and respect, being placed under intense scrutiny is a deeply unsettling experience. Ted must navigate a complex situation where every word he speaks could either protect or damage him further. And as more evidence emerges, it becomes increasingly difficult to predict how the investigation will ultimately end. Hayley's storyline adds another layer of suspense to the week's events. Her struggle to escape a rapidly escalating crisis highlights the dangers of secrets and the consequences of decisions made in desperation. As the pressure surrounding her grows, Hayley is forced to confront uncomfortable truths about herself and the people around her. Whether she manages to survive the situation intact remains one of the biggest questions heading into the following week. The events of March 26 set the stage for several major developments in the coming episodes of Beyond the Gates. Ted's interrogation raises serious questions about who can truly be trusted within Fairmont Crest. Hayley's crisis threatens to expose secrets that could affect multiple characters, and the ripple effects of these storylines are likely to continue shaping the narrative for weeks to come. As viewers have learned time and time again, secrets rarely stay hidden forever in Fairmont Crest, and once the truth begins to emerge, the consequences can be impossible to contain. The week leaves fans with one major question: will Ted manage to clear his name? Or is the truth about to destroy everything he's built? And can Hayley escape the crisis closing in around her? Or will the secret she's been trying to protect finally come crashing into the light? Because in Beyond the Gates, every secret eventually finds its way to the surface. And when it does, the fallout can change everything.